So we're gonna hit some PowerPoints real quick of what we went over last time so that these are nice and coherent and we can keep up. Control your mental attitude with definiteness of purpose. Famous and successful people never show any doubt as to their ability to do what they wish to do. Anyone at any stage of life can win the benefits of this mind transforming method. Focus your mind upon a single purpose, and you seem to achieve genius powers because your mind works far more efficiently. Now you find ways to handle problems that used to stump you and set obstacles aside. A positive mind tunes in on other positive minds. Through this mental broadcasting, you exchange priceless information and guidance. Now let me go a little further. Christian Larson, we actually read his book on the channel a couple years ago, which was massive. He talks about latent mental faculties that get unlocked when, again, we have a definiteness of purpose. I wonder if they were colleagues back in the day. We're reading Napoleon Hill, by the way, Think and Grow Rich. And the idea is when we have a definiteness of purpose, we are, in a way, for a time, focused on a single thing. And because of that, we can apply all our mental faculties to that thing. In other words, we start to tune in to that thing. We start to resonate with that thing, which is why he goes on further and says, a positive mind tunes in on other positive minds, but not just other minds. It tunes in on other things that are relevant to the thing that it wants. We use this example all the time. You buy yourself a red car, and all of a sudden you see red cars. You buy yourself a red bug, and all of a sudden you're seeing red bugs, because we're now tuned into that frequency. Now when someone bumps into you, it feels a little different. Now if you're having a conversation with someone, say you're having a business conversation, you're trying to set up a networking opportunity, you're listening to someone give you a pitch on your business, or someone's trying to give you an idea of how to run your business or some changes to make. Now the quality of that information feels a little different because you know exactly what you want. Therefore you've set the tuning fork has been set to what you want. So now when the other vibrations come into your existence, you feel it. You guys ever seen those tuning forks online where it looks like a horseshoe that goes bing and it vibrates? You now have your tuning fork. So now when another frequency comes in and mixes with it, it's either harmonious and it sounds good together, or it's disharmonious and it sounds off. Not only does it sound bad, but it feels bad. And if we didn't have that definiteness of purpose, if you didn't know exactly what you want, I want to start a real estate business. I want to make this many sales. I want to have this type of colleagues. If you never set that in the first place, then it doesn't matter what comes your way. All of it could make sense, or none of it could make sense. How would your soul know? Because you haven't set your definition of purpose. You haven't set your frequency of what you want. That's why it's so important to decide what it is that you want with absolute certainty, because on an esoteric level, on a vibrational level, you are planting a seed for a vibration. And the more you pay it heed, the more you nurture it, the more you water it, the stronger it grows, the deeper the roots grow, the further the branches go, the sweeter the fruit gets. But unless we plant the seed deep and water it and take care of it, it's never going to grow. We're never going to have our frequency tuned to what we want. Therefore, we cannot resonate with the things that we want. Therefore, we won't be able to tell what's good or what's bad for us. Am I making sense so far? Am I? Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Control the major motives that control your life. So 7 positive motives and 2 negative motives stand behind everything you do. Small men allow the 2 negative emotions, anger and fear, to rob them of peace of mind and prevent their minds from conceiving and achieving greatly. Big men use the 7 positive motives to build the kind of lives they want. We went over those in the last video. I can't think of them off the top of my head. It was like freedom, sex, funny, those are the first 2 that I remember. There's 7 of them. Watch the last video if you want to go over it. But when you make use of such all the spiritual princes, they always are ready to take care of it. Also, this is something we learned that's pretty cool. Napoleon Hill got super woo-woo on us in the last chapter, and I'll recap. And you can make these up to your own liking. We could even call it a tulpa. If you guys are super deep in the esoteric world, a tulpa is by definition, as the lore and mythology goes, an entity that is created by your mind that exists independently of you, but shares the same mind space. It is created by you, but after it is fully formed, it takes on its own personality, its own wants and desires. But we can create it as we please. I'm not really down for it because it sounds like it could go south real fast. Anywho, Napoleon Hill talks about setting up princes of the mind. And each prince has a different role. The prince of peace, the prince of power, the prince of... he's got the utility prince. That's kind of like the go-to for whatever it is at the time. An example would be yours. Like I used it yesterday. I had a conversation with someone who was asking me about the war in the Middle East. And he's homies with me, but we differ on opinion. And we're going back and forth. And I was like, let's just agree to disagree. I like you. You're my homie. I know you mean well. We both mean well. But like, let's just drop it. Let's just agree to disagree. There's no point in continuous conversation. So he's like, all right, fine. But for hours after that conversation, it lingered. It's because these things lingered. They're sticky. These extraordinarily emotionally powerful circumstances are sticky, and they hit us and they latch onto us and they don't leave. And hours later, I was still thinking about the conversation, thinking about things I could have said, thinking about things I should have said, trying to plead my case, still continuing with the argument in my head. And then the Prince of Peace of Mind popped up, which is what I'm trying to talk about now from Think and Grow Rich. The Prince of Peace of Mind saying, he appeared and said, hey, these thoughts, why are they here? What purpose are they serving? What are you trying to do right now? What are you trying to accomplish in life right now? Are these thoughts helping with that? Are they essential? Are they necessary? Does it mean that much? And within minutes, it was gone, which is pretty interesting. And I like the aspect that he talks about princes and these other entities that have their own sort of characteristics, because it gives it that flavor of magic. It gives it that flavor of mysticism, if you will. And that's why you and I are here, at least this lens of finance, spirituality. How do we blend them? How do we proceed in congruency with our highest selves? Like, we got to reprogram the conditioning. Low key, I'm going to sidetrack a little bit, but let me sidetrack for like 45 seconds. I think the new age idea of money and material being the root of all evil, or that the conversation is that heavy on that side, is a wolf in sheep's clothing. I think those in power love that idea, so that people like you and I stay down because we're afraid of things that we shouldn't be afraid of. I don't know. Maybe I can make a different video on that and go into that, because there's a lot of stuff that I really don't like, but I think is a great tool for those, and for the archons, we'll call them. I think the archons are setting us up with that thought. Terrified of the day we realize that we are capable and deserving of affluence and abundance in all areas of our life while still maintaining spiritual congruency. What do you guys think? What do you think? All right. All right. You can prevent your motives from conflicting with each other. The desire for material gain may conflict with the desire for freedom, but freedom of mind and body is more important. The emotion of love is yours as long as you give love to others. Sex is a creative force which should not be debauched or misused. The belief in a life after death must be freed from superstition and fear. Self-expression and self-preservation are great human rights which benefit you when they do not harm others. All the positive motives will guide you, and the negative motives, if they touch you, will not harm you if you remember. The surest way of finding peace of mind is the way which helps the greatest numbers of others to find it. Oh, isn't that beautiful? The surest way of finding peace of mind is the way which helps the greatest numbers of others to find it. Talks about a couple things. Peace of mind, we come back to a lot. Sex being the creative force, absolutely. There's a did I skip over the sex as a creative force part? I might have. Okay. When you are free of fear, you are free to live. Free yourself of fear, and you free yourself of a man-made devil. 7 major fears reinforce each other: the fear of poverty, the fear of criticism, the fear of ill health, loss of love, the fear of loss of liberty, the fear of old age, of death. Separate your self-man-made fears from the fears which are necessary for self-preservation. Make way for the self-confident faith in yourself, the indispensable ingredient of a life worth living. When you fear something, that thing is more likely to find you and harm you. When you look at a threat in the eye and know you are going to overcome it, that is when great powers come to your aid. Fear, the most powerful of negative motives, is like prayer in reverse. I'm going to say that again. Fear, the most powerful of negative emotions, is like prayer in reverse. Instead of appealing to the constructive forces which surround us, it appeals to the forces of destruction. It becomes a god in itself, demanding endless, painful sacrifices. People rarely will admit that lives of bitter privation may be founded on nothing more than constant fear, and yet you can see it happen all around you. The first fear I shall mention is a terribly magnetic fear. The more of it you have, the more you are likely to attract. Howdy, weather. Let's go. So the first is the fear of poverty. Now, and again, I have had occasion to meet people I knew in my own poverty-stricken youth. Of late, I've been meeting their now grandchildren. When I've known both parent and child, I can often trace the persistence of a kind of family fondness for poverty, fearing poverty with good reason as it ground them down, hating it and protesting it. Such families have nevertheless allowed their negative emotions to dull their wits and cancel their courage. To be poor and not to like being poor is a good step toward becoming rich. But put aside your fear of poverty. See it rather as merely that point from which you take off. Let your intimate knowledge of the unwanted condition become a sustaining force as you drive toward the condition you do want. Prosperity, even opulence. Let your present necessity for pinching pennies make you aware of the power of money. Let your lack of capital make you aware of the many ways you can make use of other people's money merely by paying them a fair fee for their money's hire. Know that much education is actually free, that self-education in some fields can be better than school education, that vast stores of information may be used for free, that industry and trade stand with open arms to receive the willing worker. Know that our economy is so vast and various that any special talent can find the place where it is needed. I'm going to say that again. Know that our economy is so vast and various that any special talent can find the place where it is needed. And our economy is filled with unmet needs which you can meet. I forbear from giving you a list of the many well-known men who began their lives in poverty. We have met many of them and shall meet others. Cast out fear of poverty and drive ahead. You know, it's funny. I was watching one of my favorite YouTube channels is this guy who lives as a colonial human, lives in the woods, makes their own tools, does the thing. And so it kind of teaches you how to live off the land. It teaches you historical facts about the clothes they wore and the food they ate and how they prepared their beer and their bread and how they lived. But it's very aesthetically appealing. So not only is it informative, it satisfied the information need. It satisfied my own, like, oh, now I know some kind of things of how to make my own bread or make my own fertilizers or make my own beer or my own liquor around the house. But it also has this like ASMR approach. So even if I'm not getting information, my nervous system's being relaxed. It's calming. It's not overly stimulating because he talks really soft. There's always a fire crackling. He's got nice music. A lot of the times, half the content isn't teaching you how to live like someone from the 1600s, but he gives life lessons. Like, oh, you know what? I've been out here in the woods by myself for weeks trying to just stay alive, and man, I've had some massive, profound philosophical revelations about all the things one would when they're in the middle of the woods. You know what I mean? And so it's such a random niche, but the guy's got like 1 million subscribers and he's making a fortune. Like, who would have thought? Like, my point is, if you're trying to start a business, you're trying to start something, there is an infinite amount of ways you can plug in using something that you like, using your skills, and just, again, being true to yourself, not being afraid of what people think of you, not being afraid of what you'll think of yourself, not being afraid of failure or poverty. Again, remember the first thing that we're learning in gaining financial affluence is peace of mind. Why peace of mind? Peace of mind because when our mind is in distress, our decisions reflect that. Our decisions reflect the distress, and whatever nuance the distress is, maybe this nuance is failure. Oh, if I fail, then I'm going to lose all the money I invested, and I'm going to be even further than I was before. And then, oh my God, now it's poverty times 10. You know what I mean? So now every decision you make is like, it's made with angst, anxiety. It's made with uncertainty. It's indecisive, and as a result, right? So not only is that energy in a woo-woo way bad for you, but its physical correspondences. Now, if you have people that work with you, now if you have partners, now if you have someone you're pitching an idea to, you don't think they can feel that uncertainty? They distrust you because they know you don't trust yourself. So now your networking is hurting. Now the business deals you're making is hurting. Now the conversation, you see what I'm saying? So not only, of course, everything has origin in mind, but it reflects the shadow it casts is the physical world, or the light it shines is the physical world, right? So let's move on to the second one. All right, the second fear, the fear of criticism. Your mind has limitless power to make a dream come true, provided you allow your mind to work unhampered. Few fears hamper a mind so quickly as the fear of criticism. It can stop you before you get started, and yet it is nothing but the influence of another mind or another group of minds, a negative influence which often is only imagined. A person who is filled with fear of criticism often will not put forth his ideas lest he be rebuffed, and so loses the great gifts of imagination and self-reliance. I'm going to stop right there. Kind of like your dreams, right? If you're not taking time to write your dreams down and learn from them, you're going to stop having them. It's almost like a gift. Dreams are almost like this muscle, a gift from spirit, from your higher self, and you stop using it, you're going to lose it. Almost out of spite. Same thing happens with your imagination. When your fear of criticism keeps you from giving an idea or asking a specific question or somehow interjecting your mind into the world, it is an assault to the imagination, and kills it bit by bit every time it happens. Let's keep going. We may examine the careers of people who achieved mighty breakthroughs in their field, and we may marvel at the way in which they found their abilities and put them to effective use. At the time, we may see many of the obstacles they had to overcome. Rarely, however, do we know the adverse criticism many such men faced. Had they feared this criticism and let it take root in their minds, all their ability to conceive and achieve might have been crippled. Indeed, they never might have felt it, for their minds would not have been free minds that drive ahead. The automobile, of course, would not work, nor would the airplane, nor would space travel. By the time Henry Ford was ready to manufacture automobiles on a mass production basis, the automobile obviously worked, but mass production of such tricky devices was sneered at. They were a laboratory curiosity. Nobody could supply the gasoline necessary, nor the rubber, nor ensure that such necessities would be available to a motorist wherever he might travel. Furthermore, said the bankers with whom Henry Ford preferred not to do business, people simply would not buy such a high-priced gadget in sufficient quantities. Almost everyone who knew of Ford's plans condemned them on one ground or another. Surely the sustaining power of love helped Ford to know his own mind, for Mrs. Ford said simply, "Go ahead, no matter who criticizes." Criticism cripples as well in the realm of pure ideas. When I set out to recognize the science of personal achievement, I was almost snowed under by the criticism heaped upon my head. Most of the criticism came from my nearest relatives, and this is hard to take. I could not then have put in words the power that kept me going, but I had my mind upon my goal, not upon obstacles. It is one thing to listen to advice from a person qualified to give advice. It is quite another to allow adverse criticism to blunt the fine edge of your own conquering mind. Notice how much of such criticism comes from people who criticize everything, in particular from people who criticize everybody who try to succeed. Failure, like other forms of misery, loves company. Cast out fear of criticism and continue ahead. That's why they say not to hang out with certain people. That's why they say make sure your closest group of people are those that are going to lift you up, not bring you down. A lot of people will think, or what I should say is, people don't necessarily bring you down intentionally. On occasion, yeah, there's the one schmuck that's going to absolutely make it their goal to bring you down whenever they can. Obviously, there's the outliers. But most of the time, it doesn't work like that. Most of the time, people bring you down not because they have something against you, but because their own personal view of the world is so skewed that it's so deeply ingrained in who they are that it reverberates out from them unconsciously. How can it not? This is what we practice every single day in spirituality. It's get your subconscious mind right. Get your overall vibration and frequency right so that you can emanate that frequency into the world and therefore resonate with alike things. But the exact opposite happens, or not even the exact opposite, but that happens for the negative things as well. People whose minds are, it's a dog-eat-dog world, everybody sucks, humanity sucks, you can't trust anybody, and they believe that, and they embody it, and their thoughts pervade them, and therefore their actions pervade them, and therefore when they're hanging out with you and having a conversation, they cannot help but be anyone but themselves. How can you not be anyone but yourself? Even when you're pretending to be someone else, that's still an aspect of you. You are someone that pretends to be someone else. Right? So even if you're pretending, you're still showing who you are as being someone that pretends. You cannot be anything other than who you are. Period. And so you got to be very careful when you're trying to start a business or when you're trying to grow ideas, or to not tell the wrong person. I think I did a video about this a couple years ago, where it was like, be careful who you tell your dreams to, because if they don't have vision, if you tell someone a massive dream that you have and they don't have vision, oh my God, they're gonna shit all over it. They're gonna wipe the floor with your vision, because they can't see. And you can't blame them, you know what I mean? It's like an alien trying to explain some kind of technology to a human, like, hey, time travel exists. You just do this, this, and that. And you're looking at them like, what? Like, I'm just a monkey that learned how to read and write. I'm like barely out of the womb. What are you talking about? Time travel? What? Like, we can't help it. And some people can't help the extraordinarily degraded quality of mind that they possess. I take that back. They can help it by learning about the self, by gaining knowledge, by reading more, by studying themselves. Know thyself, as they say. Like, but more so, what I mean to say is they can't help to blast you with that vibration when they're around you. And the reason why I say that mostly is because in this realm, or in the success realm, self-development, money making, even the spiritual realm, it's always like you got to stay with your tribe. Everyone else sucks. And it's like, whoa, like, come on, relax. Like, we're all homies. Everyone means well. It's just some of them are further ahead on the road than others, and we have to be mindful of that. That's all. You know what I mean? Like, we can activate remember the princes of the mind. So if, say you're hanging around someone who's just a Debbie Downer, and all they do is complain about everything, you can know that, first and foremost, call upon the Prince of Peace of Mind and say, like, hey, this person I hang out with, I love them, but they tend to complain a lot. So I'll make sure that whenever they see an opportunity to complain and they voice it, I'll deflect it. I'll laugh about it, or I'll make a joke, or I'll change the subject, or I'll acknowledge what they're saying and do some sort of sorcery, some type of transmuting alchemy where I shift the conversation. But in a good way, not being a dick about it. You know what I mean? Like, I do this all the time with people. They'll give me the woe is me spiel, and my Gandalf will turn on, and I'll be like, oh, woe is me, that's good. And I'll be witness to the conversation, but I won't be of the conversation. I won't be the conversation. I'll be witness to it. And so I'm like, oh, really? That's how you feel? Why do you feel that way? And then they'll tell me, oh, well, I feel like it's a dog-eat-dog world because of this. Oh, did that happen to you personally? Well, they'll be like, yeah. I'm like, oh, dang, that sucks, man. Like, tell me more about that. And so I start to get there, then I ask questions and I try to steer them in the right direction. I drop little nuggets of information. I see the wheels turning, and it's, I don't always do that. Sometimes I'm busy, or sometimes I'm tired, or sometimes I just don't care. Sometimes I'm trying to watch Attack on Titan and I don't really want to have a conversation at the time. You know what I mean? Anywho, mindfulness goes a long way in the world of affluence, in the world of abundance, in the world of self-development, in the world of finance and making money, all of that. Oh my goodness. Awareness goes a long way. A long way. How are you guys doing? Are you drinking water? Should we stand up and stretch real quick? Oh, we'll stand up and stretch real quick. Align our spiritual congruency with financial abundancy. We want all the money to accomplish all the beautiful things that we want to do, to see all the beautiful places that we want to see, to spread all the love, to plant all the trees, to build all the pyramids, to buy the healthiest food for our families, to buy all the fruit trees to plant in our yards. All of it. We gain spiritual affluence to make the world a better place, to raise the vibration of the planet, to increase the amount of love and light, if you will. And we do that through all means available. We do it through acts of kindness. We do it through getting more money. We do it through meditating more. Every outlet at our disposal is used in the growth of the vibe, baby. Mama Earth, Gaia, Pachamama, whatever you want to call her. Whatever it is. That's why we are here. That's why we were making these slew of videos, Napoleon Hill, because the spiritual community, we're coming in hot, baby. We're getting our base frequencies on the right path. The right path. So shall we continue with the next one, the fear of ill health? Got it, Elizabeth John. We will stay on the right track. Let's go. Probably you know more than one person whose main topic of conversation is health, or rather, ill health. Such people would rather describe their operations than talk of the benefit they derived, if indeed they needed the operations in the first place. They start each day by searching for symptoms, first from the hair down and then from the toes up, and will find many a sure sign of illness with which to bore their friends. They buy every quack remedy that comes along, follow every health fad one year, which turns out to be an anti-health fad the next year. They are hypochondriacs. They imagine illness, fear illness, and literally bring illness upon themselves, for such is the negative power of the mind. In my 60-odd years of adulthood, I have been gratified to see that physicians give increasing attention to psychosomatic illness, or bodily illness which originates in the mind. Since man's earliest history, however, it has been obvious that almost all of our illness is caused by unpeace of mind. Here is a very partial list of symptoms which can arise from mental conflicts, fears, tensions. Before I read these, isn't it interesting? He calls it, this illness is caused by an unpeace of mind. Or you could also say a dis-ease of the mind, a diseased. He is diseased, he is diseased, he is not at ease, he is unpeaced, he does not have peace of mind. Number one thing, trying to gain material affluence is peace of mind, because if you do not have peace of mind, you do not free up all the latent energy within your body. Your energy instead is spent on handling the dis-ease instead of the manifestation process. So we'll read some of the symptoms. Headache, circulatory trouble, indigestion, frigidity, ulcers, impotence, arthritic pains, rashes, other skin infections, constant fatigue, sleeplessness, slow-healing wounds, kidney trouble, mouth infection, rectal disorders, muscular cramps, more and more. Then there are the many mental disorders, ranging from extreme nervous tension to outright insanity, which often are caused or aggravated by a mind which fights itself. The list of ills to which body and mind may yield is almost endless. So let your first step toward good health be this. Do not dwell upon the image of illness. The mind tends to transmute all beliefs into their physical equivalent. Why then see yourself as anything but a person who enjoys good sound health from top to toe and back again? Isn't it crazy that Napoleon Hill drops something like that on us? Where he says, the mind tends to transmute all beliefs into their physical equivalent. All beliefs into their physical equivalent. I would go a step further and say that it's not the mind's intention to translate things into their physical counterparts, but a mere symptom of existence, because the mind broadcasts a frequency. A thought is a measurable frequency. It's a vibration that emanates from the heart, and the mind in our electromagnetic field races throughout the universe and comes into contact with various things. And as a result, it influences those things. So the mind isn't trying to materialize its beliefs. It's simply having a belief, and that vibration is being carried out into the world, and the world must mold to that vibration, cause and effect. The world absolutely must react to the vibrations that are thrust upon it. And for the love of all that is holy, can we please cast more perfect causes? Can we please cast more perfect vibrations out into the world so that we can get the things that we want more often than not? All right, so carrying on. Even if you do contract some illness or injury, hold to the peaceful knowledge that it is merely an adverse incident of life, which of course you will overcome. Moreover, a mind filled with faith and confidence can better see beyond a disability to the healed condition, the yes condition. And this, above all, is a healing aid which cannot be supplied by medicine. It is conceived, and therefore it is boundlessly powerful. Faith is the greatest of all healers. Faith is the great universal medicine which prevents illness, cures illness, builds a resistance to further illness, heals and sustains. Have faith in your health. And it is as though ill health starves to death for lack of food. Keep ill health out of your conversation. Keep ill health out of your mind. Reflect your faith in the image of a prince of sound physical health, and that prince stands by, almost invincible. He's referring to his prince again. I don't know if you guys remember when I talked about the different princes you can set up in your mind. One of them is the prince of health. Meaning anytime something unhealthy comes up, that sort of tulpa that exists in your mind pops up and goes, hey, we are healthy. I have addressed the cause. We are working to amend it. Fear not, rest at ease, carry on. Thank you, Prince of Health. I appreciate that. I will carry on. So, then to prove conclusively that you have stopped believing in ill health, empty your medicine chest down the drain, cast out fear of ill health, and drive ahead. Drive ahead. All right. That was pretty. At first, I thought that would be like kind of, I don't know. I wasn't sure what direction he would go with that ill health thing, but it made perfect sense. I like it. I couldn't relate at first because I think I come from a very, what would you say, hard background, like sports my entire life, pretty physical sports, and it was always, when you were hurt, it wasn't something you talked about. It was, I feel fine. It hurts, yeah, but we're good. Let's run it. You don't talk about it. You don't mention it. It's you sort of wear, or I was taught to sort of wear my physical misfortunes as a badge of honor. Sprained my ankle, or tore something, or concussion, or whatever it was. It was like, hey man, you all right? Hey, you okay? Like, yeah, I think so. Like, yeah, I got beat up pretty bad, man, but we good. Like, let's run it, baby. Like, run it back. So that one's always come easy to me. Thankfully, that one's always come easy to me. Dee, many years of depression did I cause actual physical disabilities that I'm just now, over the past 3 years, learning to heal myself from. Harsh pharmaceuticals only sank me deeper. Now off all. Well done, Dee. We love to hear it. We love to see it. Love to hear it. Love to see it. We need that. We're happy to see you pulling yourself up by your own bootstraps. But also, we're here to help too. I hope this is also reinforcing something, making the mind at ease a bit more than it was before. And honestly, again, there's a lot of, he wrote this book quite a while ago, and there's a lot of woo-woo stuff, but when you look into the science of it, it's there. Stress causes the release of certain hormones in your body that raise blood pressure. And when your blood pressure is raised too high too often, you're prone to heart disease, right? So that's accepted all over the world. That's pretty mainstream science as it gets. That if you're stressed all the time, the stress hormones that are released as a response to fight or flight, which is what your body is going through, raises your blood pressure. The reason it raises your blood pressure is because it thinks it's in danger. And so the evolutionary tactic is, all right, well, I'm going to increase the heart rate, right? So I get more oxygen to my muscles because I might have to fight right now. Increase my blood pressure because I have to get more blood to the extremities because I might have to run for my life from this tiger, Or I might have to throw bows with this dude because if I lose, my whole village is going to get killed, right? So you fight or flight, the stress gets turned on, and now your body's primed for action. The problem is people are in this state of run from a tiger or fight a tiger when they're just watching TV, or they're just at the office and they're dealing with a really poorly behaved customer, and that fight or flight gets triggered, and they're experiencing it 2 to 3 times a day, 5 days a week, for decades, and then they wonder why they have gray hairs and heart disease and stuff like that. That's one aspect of it, but point being the fact that there is a massive connection between your peace of mind and your health. It is pretty widely accepted. So do not sleep on that, or sleep on that so that you get plenty of rest and so that you're relaxed. One or the other. You know what I'm getting at. You know what I'm getting at. Whether you have an opportunity to yes, well, help me out, Elizabeth. I said not a pharmacy, but they did give me something because certain things are really in mind. I just want to throw us. Yeah. Also, I don't want to. I'm not a doctor or anyone, so if you're on medication or something like that, please use discernment in any decision that you're making. Talk to others who've been in your situation. I fortunately enough, I've never had to be on medications, so. It sounds like Rusty Utter. Sounds like a couple people in the chat room have been. So it would be awesome to hear your guys' experience and how you overcame that, what the thought process was like, what was said from the doctors, and the backlash you got from your family and friends and doctors. Like, that's got to be tough, man. It takes some. I want to say that takes massive mental strength, but at some point it might be massive mental desperation, and we can use desperation to really improve our lives sometimes. How can we not? We are alchemists after all. It is our job to take negative emotions and transmute them into something good. But anywho, thank you for sharing your guys' stories. I appreciate that. And Alarani Naskintal. Hello. Naskintal. Yes. I'm going to insert another ad. Thank you, guys. Average is at 9. We're going to have to put more in the beginning. I'm almost out of steam. By the way. I'm almost out of steam, if I'm being completely honest. And I have hunger. So let's wrap it up. Should we do a Q&A? Or maybe not even a Q&A. Would you guys like to do a sharing your thoughts? What do you guys feel about all this?